Arr! It's the Pirate's Booty, our after show, seen immediately after Dead and Buried Treasures ends. Captain Calico Drake and series creator Erik Sprowls take your calls for up to an hour, answering questions about the series or whatever's on your mind about the swashbuckler's haunt, the club, convention appearances, and much more. That's our after show, the Pirate's Booty, taking your booty calls till the wee hours of the morning, immediately following Dead and Buried Treasures on most affiliates.
Every pirate loves Dead and Buried Treasures, but how do you tell if it's a new show or a rerun? Easy. Like Buried Treasure, if you see this logo before the show begins, it's a brand new show. If not, it's a rerun. It's that simple, mateys. Look, new, not. New, not. New, not. Or, if you join a show late after it started, look at our Facebook page for the weekend. If you see the logo there, we be presenting ye with a new show for sure. In fact, it's what you call certified fresh, complete with a tomato kersplat next to it. Isn't that what you kids look for nowadays? Pictures? Don't know what lunatic came up with that one, but a tomato somehow equals fresh, but a splat sometimes equals the movie we're hosting. It's that simple. And now, back to Calico Drake and his group of miscreants.
Ahoy, and top of the morning to ya. Or I guess I should say top of the early morning to ya. It's about, well, it's late in the morning on a Friday night, early Saturday morning. Welcome to WDBT Radio. We put the DBT in WDBT. That stands for Dead and Buried Treasures. And this is the Pirate's Booty, the official after show and podcast of Dead and Buried Treasures, where we have just watched the 1963 classic, Barbara Steele classic, The Ghost. I, of course, am your host, Erik Sprowls, the series creator of Dead and Buried Treasures, the universe of Dead and Buried Treasures, I guess, is more appropriate, with the pre-show, the after-show, the show itself. And I also play Captain Calico Drake on the show. And here tonight, we will be bringing, once again, your social media questions, your phone calls, and an interview with one of our cast members, as we like to do so often on our show, Miss Bobby Jo McFeely, who plays Annette, the communication officer on the show. We've had a lot of requests for her, so we're going to finally get around to talking with her. Tonight's show is sponsored by dun 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 Steel City Con, where pop culture rules. Can't wait to go to their next convention. A lot of big stars there. And by the motion picture Love Hurts with Short Round, believe it or not. Ki Hai Kwan, I think is his name, from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He's grown up, won an Oscar, and wow, is he a first top-class action star in the movie. I'll be seeing that this weekend as well. We're also sponsored, tonight's show on Dead and Buried Treasures was sponsored by Captain America Brave New World, and also by the horror thriller, the Valentine's Day horror thriller, Heart Eyes. So how appropriate. We're also sponsored, of course, by Phoenix Comics and Toys, as always, and it'll be a fun night of answering your... I love taking questions from people. You know, I love when people ask me about the show, and they call in and they ask me all kinds of neat questions about what we're doing, things like that. We also wrapped up a wonderful adventure we had at the Bradford House Museum in Washington, Pennsylvania, the home of the Whiskey Rebellion, where we got a chance to read some ghostly tales, some true, by the way, ghost tales that from Colonial Pennsylvania that took place in the area, in the Pittsburgh area. And we had a lot of fun with that tonight. A big shout out to the Bradford House Museum, as well as the curator, Tracy Libertor, who asked us to come out and do a bit of a fundraiser for the museum by reading these ghostly tales. And We had a blast out there with hot cocoa and a perfect chilly night for ghost tales and supernatural scares, and all the tales were scary too. And a lot of them were true. We had one or two tall tales in there, but for the most part, they're all been handed down through the years as legend and tall tales, and that was a lot of fun to read these tales to everybody on hand that made it through the entire evening. I didn't see you out there, Phil. Talking to my engineer here. I didn't see it. Where were you? Were you out there? Did you kick in, buddy, for the museum fundraiser or anything? You really? You did? Oh, your kid went out. Okay, well that's cool. That's awesome. You missed a great night though. They made some wonderful hot cocoa for us. They had popcorn on hand, and the sponsors of that reading were BSB Wings down on the corner and Vocelli's Pizza, and also Washington Brewing Company as well. All sponsored the reading itself at the museum. We had a blast there, and we hope to do that again, make it an annual event. That'd be kind of cool, right? Raise a little money for the museum. I had a lot of positive reviews for it, so we can't really complain. You know what the funny thing is? And I mentioned this during the reading, and you saw it on the show. I had these pirate boots that a friend donated to me that were like brand new out of the box, right? And I'm out there walking around, doing this reading and everything. And here's the funny story. Like they were brand new out of the box, but the catch was they were purchased like in 1998 or something like that. And I thought, wow, these are really old. I said, but they're brand new. They never were used. By the end of the reading that night, no, not even that. By the end of the first hour of the reading, they were destroyed. Right. They were completely destroyed. Like the heel came off. It came off, and it was attached up by the front of the boot at the toe. And I had to get ready for this, duct tape. They had black duct tape on hand. Gaffer tape, for the reading that TV people use, and I used that to tape up the boot just so I could walk. Right. It was so cold out there. It was probably in the late 40s or early 50s as far as temperature. It was cold, and I admire all the people that managed to stay the whole night. There were two shows. They had a 6 o'clock and an 8 o'clock show. So you can see as you watch the show, it progressively gets darker as we go on because, we can't control the sun. Man, I wish we could, though, because it was cold by the end of the night. That hot cocoa came in handy. Another shout out to special thanks to the curator of the museum, Tracy Libertor, because they just kept the hot cocoa flowing. But it was a lot of fun. We had a blast out there, and it went on for. Phil, you ready for this? It went on for over 4 hours. Well, because we had a 6 and an 8 show, it ran about 4 hours when it was all said and done. When you add like some of the commercials and whatnot, and it ran too long for an episode of the Dead and Buried Treasures time slot. Like we try to cut it off at 3 hours. In fact, there's one of our national networks people, Sluggo, who's the president of the Vortex Horror Host Network, where they show 24-hour-a-day horror host shows, said, we can't go over 3 hours. They don't like it when you go over 2 hours. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that, because if the movie's 2 hours, how the hell do you get hosts in there time to host it? So we try not to go over 3, but this went over 4 hours. I'm like, geez, what are we going to do with this? So when we did it in post-production, I looked at it on the timeline. I said, I got to cut this in half. We'll have to make it a 2-parter. So we actually made it 2 2-hour shows where we did the same thing with the movie. We just cut the show in the middle. We had no other choice to get it. All of our affiliates are used to 3-hour time slots, especially the national network, who is a 24-hour network. We can't go over 3 hours. most of the other local affiliates, the regional affiliates in Pittsburgh, are more forgiving because sometimes we're the last show they have on the air that night, and they like, well, you know, if you're on long, it's okay. They don't complain too much. But I wasn't going to put a 4-hour show together on there. I said, so what you got is two 2-hour shows. So Sluggo, the president of the Vortex Network, got her wish. Yeah, she got her wish. We have two 2-hour shows to send them, but the movie, The Ghost, with Barbara Steele, the 63 horror classic, we had to cut in half. So you see the first half of the movie during that first show, which is our 6th season premiere, by the way. We'll come back to that as the evening goes on, and then part 2 will run, you know, the following week or so later, or 2 weeks later, or whatever the case may be, the next show. We wrap it up. We had a good time. I had to do a lot of research on some of these tall tales and true legends of the area, and I was amazed to find out how many stories were true. And they go from local college ghost stories to Fort Necessity to the haunted Route 40 stories. Route 40, of course, is called the National Road. That was one of the original roads that ran through the country from the coast. I don't know how far it extends, but it goes right through Pennsylvania. That had been, they call it the National Road for a reason. It extends into the country. It was the road, you know, that helped open up a lot of the United States. And that was around long before United States was a United States. It was just, you know, North America. But we read some ghost stories out there, had some tall tales, ghostly, supernatural stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And it was interesting because another celebratory thing for this, not only is it our 6th season premiere, but it's the first completely done episode in high definition. So we had a good time putting that all together. Yeah. So we had a good time out there. The folks were real fun. We had a great audience. We laughed. We gave away a lot of prizes. Another sponsor tonight that I forgot to mention, one of our other sponsors for that show out at the Bradford House Museum was Allen's Hayride. Allen's Haunted Hayrides, and they gave away free passes for their when Halloween comes up to utilize for their Halloween event. So we had a great time. They were great sponsors, movie sponsors. It was a whole wonderful thing. We had a great time doing it. So we hope to make that an annual event, and we couldn't have had a better time. So I know that the phone lines are lining up. Oh, we had a full queue again. So we have a lot of phone calls coming in, and we want to try to trim this to an hour tonight so we can actually put it in the hour that follows the 2-hour show, so we can fill up the 3rd hour of Dead and Buried Treasure, so we don't have to have it go through 4 hours tonight with the post show. So it was a half hour for the pre-show. It'll be a 3-hour time slot for Dead and Buried Treasures and the Pirate's Booty, and hopefully we can wrap it all up in less than an hour, so we'll see. So let's get right to the phone lines. Your phone calls. 412-691-3803 is the number where you can talk to me tonight on the after show, the Pirate's Booty, the official after show and podcast for Dead and Buried Treasures. And of course, I am Calico Drake and series creator, and let me make sure my microphone's in place. You can hear all that noise. But we're going to go right to the phone lines tonight and see what you had to say about the show, and some of you have any questions about it. So let's get right to it. Here's our first caller.
You guys rock, man. You got that old Chilly Billy vibe going on. Great show, man. Wish you the best. Bye.
Oh, well, that was quick. Thank you for the Thank you for the kind words. That was nice. I'm glad you like it. And yeah, we are a lot like Chilly Billy. There hasn't really been a horror host show in this area like that for a long time. Let me adjust my microphone here, Phil. I know that's going to be a pain for you, but I feel like it's right up there. Well, thank you. They didn't say who they were or where they're from. What's that? Oh, okay. All right. So we don't really have. Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. Well, thank you for the kind words. I love being compared to Chilly Billy. He was a regional horror host in the Pittsburgh area for years in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s and he was kind of a mentor for us. If you're a horror host fan in that area, he did a great job at what he did. Can't say enough about Chili Billy. I've met him a few times, and he was a really good host. Here we go. Another call coming in. Who is this, Phil? You don't have names on these calls. I didn't know who the first one was from. What? Are you watching something? Why do I hear that other radio feedback? Is that like the fan or something in the background out there? Oh, okay. I thought so. All right. Okay, so this next call is from somebody. Let's go to our next call. I don't have a name on this list, so yeah, that's fine. All right, let's go to our next call. Good evening and welcome to the Pirate's Booty.
We just tuned into your after show, Captain, and loved your show tonight.
Oh, thank you.
We loved the haunted tales you told at the Bradford Museum and hoped that your fundraiser was successful. We were wondering, though, two things. Were all of the stories you told true? And my second question, because we tuned late, was why did you divide the show into two parts when you had an hour left? The show seemed shorter.
Well, it was a little bit shorter tonight, not even going to lie. Like I said at the top of the hour, it ran way long, and I either could have cut a whole bunch of stuff out and made it a 3-hour movie and cut a lot of the movie out too, or I could have kept everything and made it 2 episodes that lasted 2 hours. So I went with the latter because I just thought it was probably a better angle to do. And we don't lose anything, and no one's shortchanged for anything. 412-691-3803 is the number for the Pirate's Booty, the official after show and podcast for Dead and Buried Treasures. Let's go to our next call tonight. Who do we have? Phil? All right, you're on the line with the Pirate's Booty.
It was a very good show tonight. I was impressed. I didn't know anything about it. You need to get the information out to the other channels somehow so that we can see it. It's sort of like Chili Billy,
right?
Channel 11, a long time ago, and we need something like that.
Well, I appreciate that. We did have it does go out to regional affiliates. Not everybody in Pittsburgh area can see it, but most of the people in Pittsburgh can see it through all of our affiliates here. And for those of you who don't live in Pittsburgh, you can either see it on Facebook, YouTube, or on DBTV, our national network, our worldwide network, actually. Saturday nights, late Saturday night at midnight with an 11:30 pre-show, and it's on various times. I tell you what, I'm glad you brought it up. If you want to see the show times, check the local listings on our Facebook page for our regional show times that were on the air. You can always find that on Facebook and go from there.
It was really good to tie in the local haunted places.
Yeah.
More of that needs to be done, and I could tell a lot of effort and time went into this.
Oh, thank you for your call. I appreciate that and the kind words. It's always nice to hear somebody that says, oh, you could tell I was really impressed by how much work you put into this. It wasn't garbage. I always love to hear everybody say, flattery will get you everywhere. You know, the old saying, right? So, yeah, I love when people love the show. That makes me very happy that we're not wasting our time. 412-691-3803. Again, is the number for the Pirate's Booty. We'll take a couple more phone calls, but we got an interview coming up tonight with Bobby Joe McFeely, who plays Annette on the show, and I don't want to shortchange her, so we can only take a few phone calls tonight. This call is coming from where, Phil? Any idea? This call's coming from Aliquippa. This is Vanessa. Vanessa, how are you tonight?
Yes, this is Vanessa from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, 15001. I'm sitting here on this Friday night enjoying your show. I watched the one when the dude killed other people and put them in clay. That was kind of funny there. Yeah, keep that up. Bye.
Yeah, keep that blankety blank up. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it, Vanessa. You must have been watching one of the other affiliates that was in a rerun area, but for the most part, we did the live broadcast from the Bradford House Museum. That would have been, what was that? That's the one where we had the most dangerous game, and A Bucket of Blood with Dick Miller. I don't know where she saw that. That had to have been on like one of the... Oh, you know where she probably saw it was on USC TV or PTC TV in Peters Township or Upper St. Clair in the Pittsburgh area. But I'm glad you liked it. You know, whenever. And by the way, just a note: when people call in, you don't have to tell me your address and your zip code and all that other stuff. That's what I was laughing at. I'm like, I don't need a bio, but you're more than welcome to do it if you want to do that. Day, that's up to you. But thank you. I appreciate your kind words, Vanessa. 412-691-3803 is the number for the Pirates Booty. WDBT Radio, the official radio station of Dead and Buried Treasures. Our next call comes from where, Phil? From Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Hello, Uniontown. You're on the air with the Pirates Booty. How are you tonight? Arr!
Hi, Captain Drake. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
I love the show, and I have 2 questions. First, I loved your ghost stories tonight, and I love the one about the blue ghost in Washington and Jefferson Bell Tower and Fort Necessity. I heard they were all true because I've heard them before. Did you know of any other ghost stories in the area?
Well, there were a lot we couldn't use. We just, my God, the show ran on almost 4 hours or more, and I could have prattled on for a while longer, but it was cold. It was really kind of chilly. People were like, okay, enough stories, the hot chocolate's not making it anymore. So we kind of, wrapped it up early, but yeah, just so you know, and I forgot to answer my earlier caller's question, they were all true. All these stories are about colonial America. They're all legend. Well, when I say true, they were true because I found these stories after doing some research to put them together. But, they may not be the scariest stories in the world, but because they're true, it makes them a little bit more creepy, The blue ghost in the Tower of Washington Jefferson College, I've heard that story forever. I used to hear it about California University, which is now Penn West University, and their bell tower. But the bell tower for both colleges were designed by the same designer. I remember that. So I don't know if there was a tie-in or if it's actually... And then there was another one at Bethany College, I heard, where an Asian student jumped off the bell tower way back in the day. And I don't even know if that's true or not. You hear these legends as you're... I'm a college professor by trade, so when you teach at a college for so long, you always hear these stories and how old they are, 200-300 years old or something like that. And you start to wonder how much are tall tale and what are true. But most of the stories tonight, as far as I know, were as true as they could get, yes.
Also, how does somebody go to the Bradford Museum and see it? Is it just like any other museum?
Yeah, it's just like any other museum. It's, I think they're open, I don't know, I think they're open, I'm going to guess because I don't have any of that paperwork in front of me. I want to say 10 till 4, maybe Monday through Friday. But they're located in Washington, Pennsylvania. It's a real place. It's a museum that was owned at one time by David Bradford, like we mentioned on the show, and we didn't get into tonight, but you will in the next episode. One of the stories we have is why the Bradfords fled the house in the first place, and it's over the years it just became a museum, and with a curator and everything. It's they talk about colonial times, colonial this and that there. It's a great place. It's well worth the money. It was a great time tonight. If you want to go see a little bit of history about one of the revolutions that's not really as popularized as everything else in this country, it was the Whiskey Rebellion in Washington, and that's just a little south of Pittsburgh, just a short drive from Pittsburgh. But yes, my advice would be to go to online and look for it, the Bradford House in Washington. I think you can go to Bradford House, is it the BradfordHouseMuseum.org? But I know if you search for it, there's a few Bradford houses out there. Make sure you get the right one. This is in Washington County, just south of Pittsburgh, and it has a lot of history, and a nice tour. It's beautiful land, beautiful grounds. It's well kept. That was all real there. They were really nice enough to have us there, and we had a great time. Loved it. We'd love to do that and make it an annual thing. It was so much fun. 412-691-3803 is the number. We have time for what? Wow, the evening's going fast. I know I want to get her interview too. We have time for one more call. Is that right? One more call. All right, this call comes from where? Santa Monica, California. So they must have been watching on DBTV or Facebook tonight. How are you in Santa Monica? Arr, be hearty. Glad to have you on the Pirate's Booty.
Hey, Captain. Hey, thanks for having me on. Hey, my wife wanted to call, but she's just a bit too chicken. She has two questions for you, actually. I hope that's okay.
Okay.
The first is, how are you doing after your stroke?
We talked about it on the last show. One of the reasons that we've taken so long and there's been such a long time in between shows is I had to do a bit of recovery, and that's with the stroke area, and then it affected kind of like my back and things like that. So I've been kind of dealing with it and getting around to you all right, Phil? All right. Sorry, Phil's in there juggling. I brought my dogs here, and we're doing the show with my dogs here at the studio because I had to bring them with me. Anyway, I'm doing better. I'm doing much better. It just takes time, but I didn't want to not do the show, so here I am doing the show, and I'm okay. I'm doing real well. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that as always.
Everything's all right.
Yeah, sure.
And the other is, we were wondering if you went to college, and where did you go?
Where I went to college? I've mentioned this on the show before. I'm kind of by trade, I'm a college professor. I've taught at about 8 different universities in the country and colleges throughout, and I've run many college television stations at Bethany, at California University, at Bloomsburg University, at Southern Maryland. So I've bounced around quite a bit. I actually got my education at California University of Pennsylvania, which is now Penn West. I got my undergrad and my master's degree there, and I went to Robert Morris for my doctorate in communication and information systems. So they have great programs there. I can't recommend them enough, but that's where I went to school. So I hope that gives you some insight. All right, well, that'll do it for our phone calls tonight. I don't want to miss our interview. I don't want to miss our guest tonight, and I know we want to leave room for her to talk and find out a little bit about Bobby Joe. And so I thank you for your phone calls tonight. And we're going to hopefully, we might have time at the end of the show, but I'm not sure. So we're going to give you the number again just to be safe. 412-691-3803 is the number. That's 412-691-3803 is the number. The Pirate's Booty, the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasures, where tonight we watched The Ghost, and we were out on location at the Bradford House Museum in Washington, Pennsylvania. So we're going to take a small break, and we're going to get to our interview right after this. Tonight we're sponsored by, again, the movies Love Hurts with Ki-Hai Kwan, Short Round from Indiana Jones, and also the Goonies fame. I keep saying that because that's the best way I know him, but I know he's won an Oscar since, and I can't not shed light on that. And he also, we're also sponsored tonight by Captain America: Brave New World. You got to give Cap some recognition, and by the new Valentine's Day horror film that takes place at Valentine's Day, Heart Eyes, and it's I've heard good reviews of that. I heard it has a really unique death in it that if you're a horror buff out there, it'll be interesting to see. We're also sponsored by Steel City Con, where pop culture rules, by the Bradford House Museum in Washington, Pennsylvania, of course, who was kind enough to set up everything this evening, and also by Allen's Haunted Hayrides, who provided some prizes to our listeners out there during those ghostly tales that we read for everyone. We'll be right back after this. You're tuned into The Pirate's Booty on WDBT Radio, the official after show and podcast for Dead and Buried Treasures.
Every pirate loves dead and buried treasures, but how do you tell if it's a new show or a rerun? Easy. Like buried treasure, if you see this logo before the show begins, it's a brand new show. If not, it's a rerun. It's that simple, mateys. Look, new, not. New, not. New, not. Or, if you join a show late after it started, look at our Facebook page for the weekend. If you see the logo there, we be presenting ye with a new show for sure. In fact, it's what you call certified fresh, complete with a tomato kersplat next to it. Isn't that what you kids look for nowadays? Pictures? Don't know what lunatic came up with that one, but a tomato somehow equals fresh, but a splat sometimes equals the movie we're hosting. It's that simple. And now, back to Calico Drake and his group of miscreants.
Check out Phoenix Comics and Toys and get your one-of-a-kind custom horror host figurines made exclusively by Rob Fleck. That's right, kids. Oh, you can find hosts like the Keymaster, Mummy and the Monkey. I just love that name. Mr. Lobo, or even Carlos Borloff's Monster Madhouse. That's right, kiddies. You can order them on Facebook or on eBay. Anytime, kiddies. Tell them your bony little friend, the Crypt Keeper, sent you. It won't get you a discount, but it might get you killed.
Hello, fellow pirates. It is I, Hank, from the Swashbuckler's Haunt, with this month's movie trivia question, sponsored by Midas, where you can win a free oil change if you provide me with the first correct answer to tonight's question via email. Speaking of which, here it is now. It'd be a stormy sky ahead, but if you know the answer, make sure to drop us an email at Dead and Buried Treasures. If you're the first matey with the correct answer, you will win a free oil change for your horseless carriage, courtesy of Midas in Washington, where you can trust the Midas touch. Aye, and keep watching Dead and Buried Treasures all night long. One winner per show, me hearties. Stay the course, me fiends, and abide by the code.
Phoenix Comics and Toys has done it again.
My decoder's here!
Yar, me hearties. The Dead and Buried Treasure Fan Club is now accepting new crew.
Wow, Jonathan Benson at age 7.
Each fan club kit contains one decoder statue with a secret compartment containing your doubloon, one autographed photo of the captain and Jack, and one welcoming letter. Yar!
My gold doubloon!
Decode each episode's code for a chance to win prizes. Yar! Set sails to Etsy and Facebook to order yours today. Yar!
Buster, your brother needs to use the bathroom.
I'll be right out, Dad!
Lovers.
Ahoy, and welcome back to the Pirate's Booty, the official after show and official podcast for Dead and Buried Treasures. And as promised, we have a special guest tonight, Bobby Joe McFeely, who plays Annette on the show. How are you tonight, Bobby Joe? Joe, what do I call you there? Bobby Joe? Bobby Joe? What do I call you?
Usually it's Bobby or Joe. Usually never both, because that reminds me of when I was in trouble when I was a kid.
You know what's funny about that? My mom, I knew I was in trouble when my mom would call me Eric John.
Yeah, it was like, when you're in trouble when they get both names out.
Right? Yeah. My grandma would say EJ, and
yes, it was like, shoot, I'm in trouble now.
Yeah, what have I done? Do I have something on me?
I have been caught,
Well, I know I call you Joe, but I mean, like, this is really like our first official.
Yeah, most people who know me and know me well call me Joe.
Well, Joe.
Joe. Yeah.
It's so funny calling you Joe. Everybody I expected a J-O-E on the end, but
it's so funny because most people do, and it's funny because I work in healthcare and I work in a doctor's office. So when I call people back to go to a doctor's office, I introduce myself. Hi, my name is Joe. I'll be taking care of you today. They're like, you don't look like any Joe I've ever seen. And I'm like, yeah, wrong gender, and I have to correct them and say, no, like Joe from Little Women. And then there's always some, like gray-haired 90-year-old lady who goes, oh, I love that book, like, with the fondest eyes in the world. You're like,
right.
Great, I'm glad you love Louisa May Alcott. You probably knew her. Great, okay. Fantastic.
Well, either way, Joe, thank you for joining us here on the Pirate's Booty this evening. This portion of our show tonight is sponsored by Love Hurts, the motion picture Love Hurts, by Captain America, Brave New World, by the Valentine's Day thriller Heart Eyes.
Oh, I love me some horror films.
Which is actually very appropriate for this show. It's a movie about a serial killer killing couples on Valentine's Day. It's also sponsored by Steel City Comics and the Bradford House Museum in Washington, Pennsylvania, just south of Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
and also, finally, by Alan's Haunted Hayrides, who was nice enough to donate passes for winners when we did our reading earlier this evening.
Very nice.
Out at the Bradford House. So,
cool.
It's been a fun night so far. It's rapidly coming to an end, but I didn't want to shortchange you. Hey, we have some questions. We have some fans that demand answers about you.
I'll ask and you shall receive.
Well, that's the plan. But some, sometimes I know like other guests like to be mysterious about things, but we'll just go from here and see what happens. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Uniontown, believe it or not.
Uniontown?
The land of nothing.
Uniontown, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Now, I know you personally, but I know your dad. I feel like I'm interviewing Clarice Starling when I said you're the daughter of a coal miner.
I certainly am.
And proud of it. Great heritage there.
Yes.
Especially in Uniontown and in the mountains and things like that. What first attracted me to you, having you on the show, was one of the unique things you can do as an actress. I loved your accents. You were very good at doing accents. I can't do accents, and it's funny because on the show you kind of have a Pittsburgh with a K, Pittsburgh accent,
it's one of the ones I can slip in and out of too. And I always tell people it takes everything I have all day, not the dog I guess. It takes all I got all day.
But see, that's the funny thing for the viewers though, because they might think you really do have that accent, and you do not.
No, I don't.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But it is fun to do. It is a very fun one to do. Because it's one of those ones that when you hear it, you know exactly where people are from.
Right.
Because it's one of those ones it's easy to accentuate. And it's that one, and it really, to be honest with you, sometimes I only have to hear one a couple of times sometimes to be able to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I work in West Virginia, so I can hear that southern one, and it's funny how I have caught myself listening to people in the room, and then I kind of sound like that person in that room. And it's just because it's what I do. I just pick them up and I try to sound like that. I'm working, believe it or not, on sounding like Glinda from Wicked. So I do walk around in the office going, "Oh dear, Oz." 90% of the time I'm working, "Oh my dear sweet Oz." Or I do sing "Popular, I'm gonna be popular," or things like that, because those are fun ones to do.
Yeah, and you're no stranger to musicals either. I know that you told me you did a lot of acting, and you were in a few musicals when you were younger. So being able to sing,
I was in Annie. I'm red-haired originally, but I was not Annie. I was Lily St. Regis, believe it or not, which was Bernadette Peters' character. For those of you who have watched the movie, it was Bernadette Peters' character, who was just fantastic as Lily St. Regis. And now that I'm older, I'm like, I want to play Carol Burnett's part. I want to play Little Miss again.
Oh, yeah. Admittedly, when I found out you could do so many different types of vocalizations and accents, I thought, a really good idea for you would be kind of like a not a psychotic, what's the word I'm looking for? A split personality kind of character on the show, where sometimes sometimes you're Southern and sometimes you're Pittsburgh, and sometimes
and I like to sound like other people. So another one is always like, I think I've pitched this to you before, kind of like, she kind of comes in one day and she's wearing a sweater and going, "Swashbucklers hunt, this is Pam."
Yeah, to our viewers out there, because you probably don't know,
The Office.
Joe is a big fan of The Office.
Yes, a huge fan of The Office.
In fact, I've talked to you on the phone a couple times and caught you actually dozing off to The Office, have I not?
Oh, yes, you have. Very much.
Good thing for the Peacock app, where you can just watch it over and over and over.
And over again. And that's one of the things we were talking about actually at the office, at my office the other day. And I was like, everybody knows a guy named like Dwight who can one up you. It was always like I can raise and lower my blood pressure at will. And he's like, "Why are you going to raise your blood pressure?" Or it was his cholesterol. "I can raise and lower my cholesterol at will." "Well, why would you want to raise your cholesterol?" "So I can lower it." I know everybody knows a guy like that, and I think that's what makes this show so successful and so fun, is that all the characters are relatable, and I think that's what makes it fun. But it was that character in particular, Pam. I'm like, I think I pitched that idea to you. Like, she comes to, one morning, she's like, in her shoes, in her little sweater, going,
right.
"Swashbucklers hunt, this is Pam." Or she comes down dressed like Kelly Kapoor, "Fashion show at lunch." Fashion show at lunch.
Oh yeah, and we have talked many times about the angle for your character to take, and I'll be admittedly, I'm not quite sure that the angle I want to take yet, because I remember we first gave your name as Annette, and I know we kind of went back and forth on what kind of a name to give you. And I think we came up with the last name of O'Malley because of the red hair and the Irish background, And
they said, "Here, you dirty bit of drat." Yes, exactly.
Exactly. There's another accent you can do. You can do a whole. You're very talented when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Thanks.
I was very amazed at you have such a repertoire in your background to do those kind of voices. I struggle. Yeah. I'm from the Pittsburgh area, but I can't do.
And you can't do one.
No. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, no, it's not. Because you worked in television, so you guys practice non-regional diction, so you have to sound non-regional. So that doesn't surprise me in the least.
I know. I wish I could do more theater, because if I did, I'd be able to do a Pittsburgh accent, or yins. Everybody said, "Why don't you say yins?" I said, I've never said yins in my life unless I think about it.
And I do all the time.
Yeah, as well, since
He's
the
going
show.
down there.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Listen to that. That's great. But I tell you what, since we're on nationally too, on DBTV and the Monster Channel and the Vortex Horror Host Network, a lot of people that view the show, not only nationally but worldwide, aren't familiar with all the accents of the area, and so when having an actress such as yourself on the show is so valuable in doing that. And I've thought about doing different things with the character too, meaning, you know, I remember we talked in the early days. I think we still have it here to do, where you were going to play Mrs. Chucky. When we had.
Oh,
yeah, we were gonna.
Yeah.
We have not a John. I think it's your son's Chucky doll that's about 3 feet tall, I guess.
The one that he left in the box.
Yeah, and
he turned the box around because he said, "This thing's staring at me, Mom."
I know we're gonna have an upcoming episode where puppets come alive, and we were gonna have you somehow involved as a puppet or like trying to catch Chucky or something like that, and we're going to come up with soon that. See, now the thing is, Jasper, the caretaker, Chris Presley, likes to create all kinds of intricate props, and I know for a fact he has a Jasper doll, a Jasper,
which I think is really, really cool.
A Jasper puppet, yes, and I thought that was so cool because I thought we'd kind of incorporate that where Jasper gets turned into a puppet, and then that kind of springboards into Chucky coming alive, because you know, a boat full of movie props from the island of Dead and Buried Treasures has all kinds of possibilities, and you becoming a Chucky doll, so to speak, I thought would be a lot of fun too.
Well, that I always thought too, I could have been Tiff and kind of used the gravelly Jennifer Tilly kind of chat, you know, kind of voice, you know. But I also wanted to use my, well, you're very strong, fight Bernwoods, you know, kind of voice.
Oh, yes, the Russian accent, yes.
Yes.
Strong like bull.
Yes, you're very strong. You're a very strong woman, fight Bernwoods.
You know? Well, you have a big background. I think you and Aline Isley, who plays Mirabella the Mermaid on the show, would get along quite nicely because you both have such broad backgrounds in musicals. Yes. And she's an actress in Pittsburgh, so.
Absolutely,
and I know you've had quite a background too in musical theater. What are some of the productions you've done?
I was in Annie. I was in Me and My Girl when I was in high school. Believe it or not, I have not really done a whole lot other than high school stuff. But
that's still
you
a
know,
great background.
I was also I was in The Miracle Worker. I was in a show called Not Now, Darling, which required me to be in my underwear for the second half of the show.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yes. Yes, it was fantastic for my parents. Then we're like, you're not doing public theater anymore.
Yeah, that's out.
Not a big thing for them.
So I guess you doing like underwear scenes on the show is probably out too. Then.
Well, I'm an adult now, so I think it's kind of over. I can do whatever I want. You know, when you're this old and
something that would be a lot of fun. Something that our fans don't know is you're also, when you're not on the clock with Dead and Buried Treasures, what am I saying? With Dead and Buried Treasures, you're on, when in your trade work, I mean, you're not an actress at all. You work in the medical field.
I do. I work. I actually work in eye care. I'm a technician. I work with eye surgeons down in West Virginia at Ruby Hospital at the eye clinic. Come visit me down at the eye center.
I know you've told me some of the hilarious stories down there that have gone on.
We have some. Healthcare is so much fun.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Another.
Wild things that happen down in there, but yeah, we're just there to take care of patients, and we're there to take care of people, and I love taking care of people. That's like one of my things. That's why I went into healthcare, was to take care of people. No matter where they're from or what they do, we're there to take care of them.
It's not really unlike the characters on the show, really. I know a lot of people say, oh, you guys have so much fun on that show. You must have a great time when you're all together. I'm like, I don't think I've ever done a shoot where we've all been together, you know?
No.
Because I'll do the voices of Jack and Davy Bones separately. I mean, then we shoot your scenes separately. Jasper shoots his stuff, states away where he lives and then sends it to me.
I think I've passed Professor Gertie. She and I have passed one another, going from studio to studio.
Right, yeah, I think maybe once or twice. That's what some of the people don't quite understand, is we shoot this more like, how can I say that? I can't really say we shoot like a movie, but I think COVID was how we started all this. We would shoot everybody's stuff separately in front of a green screen, so we could really put you anywhere. And but I try to get it more now in the theater, in the studio itself. What's it like dealing with Dead and Buried Treasures? Do you like your character? Do you like the fun of the show?
I like the character. I think she's kind of funny, and I did want her to kind of branch out and do some things on the internet herself, because I think she's kind of a fun, relatable. She can be fun and relatable if we do her right, and she has that fun Pittsburgh. That she's a lady of Pittsburgh, and I wanted to kind of make her that lady of Pittsburgh. Like I wanted to do Annette's beauty tips and around town with Annette. Like I like to go to Steel City Con. I love to do that. Take my kid, and show everybody what there is to do when you go to Steel City Con.
Right, yeah. You're no stranger to going to conventions in general, are you?
No, I mean, I've been to GalaxyCon when I lived in Columbus. I had gone, and they have a great setup out there. They have it set up at the fairgrounds. It's huge. One of their in one of their outbuildings there. It's a huge building, and then it's at the convention center. It's humongous, and then I love to go to Steel City Con. We always have great people that come to Pittsburgh. I have friends that work there, and it's just fun. It's just a fun atmosphere, and I love to watch people all dressed up. And I don't, believe it or not, I don't dress up just because every time I try to do something fun, somebody in my parents' household looks at me and goes, "What are you wearing? Why are you dressed like that?" And I'm like,
"What the hell are you going on?"
Pretty much. And I'm like, "Well," then I feel bad. So I'm like, "Okay."
Well, don't feel too bad. I know that soon, upcoming Dead and Buried Treasures will be attending a lot of these conventions. I know that I've attended a couple of the conventions, not so much with a table where you come in and sit down and meet me or any of the cast, but I've gone to conventions dressed up as Drake, and I've done walk-arounds, and I've had people come up and say, "Oh my gosh, you're Captain Drake from Dead and Buried Treasures." And, and sign autographs and whatnot. So I think it's probably high time that we open up a table maybe at Steel City Con or Horror Con or Horror Fest or Gross Fest.
Well, I'm not doing it this time. It's just John Cusack's coming to Steel City Con this time, and I'm getting a date, so.
Are you sure you don't want to meet him in complete makeup and say, "Hey, what's you John Cusack and that?"
Yeah, no. No, because I'm going to be like, okay, I have a photo op, and I'm going to be like, okay, here's your inspiration. This is we're on, it's like the last minute of the movie, and, we're getting ready to kiss. And then it's going to go fade to black. You don't have to kiss me or nothing, but it's going to be like the big moment.
Well, just a little advice. Just a little advice that when you do meet John Cusack.
I'm not wearing pirate stuff.
No. I was going to say I have experience in this area because he's a big Cubs fan, I believe.
Oh, he's a huge Cubs fan, yeah, I know.
And I had a chance to meet him before, and I was wearing a complete Pirates outfit. And he looked me up and down and said, "Nice."
Yeah.
I don't mean pirates, by the way, ahoy, matey. I mean Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Attire.
He's not a fan.
That's good. I love it when he was all good in that. And he said, "Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm a big Cubs fan." I said, "I know. I heard. I did this actually to see what kind of a rile I get out of you." And he says, "That's okay. That's all right." So he was pretty good sport about it and everything. So as long as you take it in that vein, I'm sure things will be great.
Sure.
Well, listen, I appreciate you joining me this evening. Talking a little bit, giving a little bit about your background and your experience in musical theater and accents, and even professionally. You worked down at Morgantown. You like working down there? Is in an eye office? What's the name? An ophthalmology? Ophthalmology.
Yeah, we have 3 floors and a bunch of different doctors. I usually work in our glaucoma department, so eye pressures and stuff like that. I work with a great doctor up there on the 3rd floor, and they love the fact that I'm obsessed with Wicked. So because every now and again I will bust into song for no apparent reason, and they love it because it's it's like a new thing every 5 seconds, and I do my "Oh Sweet Almost."
Well, let me make a quick request before we head out here to the end of to a break, or I guess we're going to call it quits for tonight. Can you do a few bars of something for us?
Like what?
I don't know, from Wicked. You said you're obsessed. You know the music. Do you know any of the music you can sing?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you care to find me, look to the western sky. As someone told me lately, everyone deserves a chance to fly.
That's great.
You think?
And here I thought you were going to do Popular.
Oh, yeah, that's fun. Don't make me laugh. I also, and every now and again I will do, there's another one, tossed on his leg. Tossed on his leg. And everybody's like, you do that so well.
Well, I tell you what, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I'm happy
Joe.
to do it.
I appreciate it. Make sure you look for her, everyone out there, on Dead and Buried Treasures. She plays the character of Annette, the CLO officer, which is another kind of a...
Which, by the way, she just wants to get paid.
She just what?
She just wants to get paid. Don't you
She
try
just wants to
paying
get
me.
paid, Nat.
Why don't you try paying me? What do you think I'm going to take his down Togos?
Well, you know, that's all. Also,
Can't pay my pennies bill with us.
It's another little nod to Pittsburgh as well, because CLO, we call that the Communications Liaison Officer, but that was born out of the CLO here in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely, which I love to go and watch.
We all do, yeah, it's great.
Oh my God, I love to go there. They're so fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, Annette, I appreciate you joining us on the show tonight. We're going to have to head out, but
okay.
Thank you so much for tonight's interview, and also thank you to all of our sponsors tonight. Love Hurts, Captain America Brave New World, Heart Eyes, the Bradford House Museum, Allen's Haunted Hayride, Steel City Comics, Phoenix Comics, not Steel City Comics, Steel City Con, Phoenix Comics and Toys, with the home of the Dead and Buried Treasures fan club. And it's been a real privilege talking to you tonight, Bobby Joe McFeely.
I'm in trouble. Absolutely happy to do it, and happy to come back, and maybe I'll be in person one time, maybe on your pre-show.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I'd like to do that. Maybe we'll get you on the next pre-show as well. I'm sure Fiore would love to meet you again.
Oh, good Lord, I bet he would.
Fiore's one of our co-hosts for the pre-show. I'm sure you guys would get along great.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, thank you again for joining us. And to everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning in to the Pirates Booty, the official after show and podcast for Dead and Buried Treasures. And until next time, join me here in that It's a Pirate's Life for Me.
Pirate's Life for Me.
We'll see you next time. Good night.
Jeremy Timbers, Captain. Aye.
You putz.
Arr, it's the Arr, we asked, and you responded.
Hey guys, I was just calling to tell you that I'm a really big fan of your show. Me and my friends watch it every Saturday night, and we are absolutely in love with all the monster movies that you talk about, and especially that they're from like the 50s, 60s, you know, the older movies. That's what we like about this show so much. We especially like your parrot Jack. He's always making us laugh, and it's just a very enjoyable show that we like to watch every Saturday. So I was just calling to give you my feedback, and I hope you continue to make more great shows. Thank you.
Hi, I just thought I'd call and tell you I am enjoying your monster movies. They're great. And also, I love Drake. Hope to see more of you. Bye.
Hey, this is Saul Kummel from Pittsburgh. I just want to tell you guys, I really love the Dead and Buried Treasure Show. I love all the old monster movies. It really takes me back to when I was a kid, and now I'm able to tell my friends, you know, you guys got to check this show out, and it'll bring back so many memories for you. Let me tell you, too, Calico Drake is hilarious. Although I tell you what, Jack really makes the show. He just busts Calico Drake every chance he gets, and I love it. Keep up the good work, guys. I will be shanghaied into your crew as long as the show is on. Thanks very much.
Hey, man, I think your show's kind of groovy. Bucket of Blood is what it is, man. What it is. Got that beatnik thing to it, and I just love it. Groovy, man, groovy. Hey, keep up the good work, guys. Okay, talk to you later.
There are no further messages.
Operators are standing by.